Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be having a look at IGCSE Economics Paper 1 Multiple Choice paper from October-November 2023, paper variant 1-1, and I've got the multiple, the mark scheme just here to double check and make sure we're on track. Alright, it's going to be the whole paper, so let's get into it. Question 1. Economists describe resources as being scarce. What must be a consequence of scarce resources? Production will cause external costs, not always, sometimes benefits. Relative poverty will gradually increase, not always, sometimes it can decrease. Sustainable development will take place, not always, might not be sustainable, might be pollution. Wants will exceed productive capacity. Yep, that means our needs and wants are unlimited and our resources are limited. So D, let's double check, and answer is D. We're good to go. Okay, 2. The diagram shows the production possibility curve of an economy producing consumer goods and capital goods. So consumer goods on the Y, capital goods on the X. Currently the economy is at OM consumer goods and OG capital goods, so we're over here, and then we decide to increase the production to OH. So we've increased from G capital goods to H capital goods. What is the opportunity cost? So the value of the next big thing, or the value of what we lost. The value of what we lost is here, M to L. So when we decide to move from G to H, right, what we lose is we lose M to L. So that's the value of what we lose, ML. 3. A hospital has spent all of its budget on employing more doctors. What is the opportunity cost? So what did we lose? For every doctor that we employed, we lost the chance of the nurses that we could have employed. Let's go check the rest. Improvement in recovery rate. That's not an opportunity cost, that's a result. C. An increase in number of patients treated. That's not something we lost, that's a result. The salary paid to the extra doctor. That's a direct cost, it's not a loss. So the opportunity we lost was the nurses we could have hired. Okay, 4. There's been an increase in the demand for wheat. This has led to an increase in the demand for labor to harvest that wheat. Okay, so specifically everything here is in a specific market for wheat. Which branch of economics covers these two concepts? Increase in demand for wheat. So it can already only be C or D, microeconomics, and increase in the demand of labor for wheat. So again, microeconomics, the answer must be D. I think a mistake here that some people might think is they see, oh, the demand for labor, that must be a macroeconomic concept, right? But it's specifically the labor for the harvesting of wheat, which is a specific market, which is microeconomics. Okay, 5. In the United Kingdom, the price of timber, which is wood, used in building houses has increased. This was because of a boom, so increase in demand in the UK house building industry and a shortage of drivers to deliver the timber. So then the price of drivers would have increased, meaning the costs to those firms would have increased. What happened in the UK market for timber to cause its price to increase? Okay, so let's have a look. Well, the first thing that happened was there was a boom, so they said an increase in demand. Then when demand increases, price increases. So you can see boom in demand means demand shifts to the right, so the answer must be C or D. And then what happened to the supply curve? Well, if costs go up, then firm only has a set budget, right? And if the cost of resources increases, you can only buy less resources then for your same budget, so the amount of products that you produce is less, so your supply will decrease, which is a shift to the left. And this happened because of an increase in the price of timber, and probably also the drivers to deliver the timber. Okay, so then shift to the left, our answer should be 5C. Let's go double check. 5C, perfect. Okay, 6. What does the supply curve show us? Well, supply curve looks like this. Price, quantity, and it shows us at each price, what is the quantity supplied, and you can see when price increases, quantity supplied also increases. So this is a positive relationship. Got a positive relationship here. There you go. D. There's a positive relationship between quantity supplied and price. Okay. 7. A global pandemic causes demand for air travel to decrease. Which value of price elasticity of supply of air travel will cause the number of tickets for air travel to fall the most? So basically, price elasticity of supply is a percentage change in quantity supply divided by percentage change in price. So we're looking for a situation where the quantity supplied can actually change a lot here. So basically, we're looking for an elastic supply. So a PES with a value of greater than 1 will be elastic. Less than 1 will be inelastic. So here we go. Our answer is D. 1.5. A PES of 1.5 indicates that we've got elastic supply, and that means the quantity supplied can change. And that's what we're looking for, a situation where the quantity supplied, in this case the air tickets, can change the most. Okay. 8. What is a disadvantage of a market economy? So a market economy is a economy where individuals own the firms, and so basically only got firms and individuals in this market. There's no government and there's no government-owned firms. So the problem with a market economy, a disadvantage, is that there's usually not enough merit goods, because in a market economy, firms will supply to the demand. So whatever individuals in this economy demand, the quantity demanded is the quantity supplied that firms will produce. And in a put the phone on silent. So in a market economy, people generally don't have perfect information. They don't know the benefit of some goods in terms of like how good they are for your health and society at large. So we call that information failure, and that's one of the roles of the government. And the argument for a planned economy, or not a planned economy but a mixed economy, is that the government can give information on merit goods, and that increases the demand of merit goods. But without that information, in a market economy there's a low demand for merit goods, and so there's a low supply of merit goods. So there's not enough merit goods in a market economy, and there's too many demerit goods. Okay. 9. Droughts in some countries can cause the supply of wheat to fall. Wheat prices then rose, providing an opportunity for wheat producers in other countries to increase supply. Why might the price of wheat continue to be high in the year following the drought? Okay, so basically what happened here is that there was a bad weather, there was low rain, so that caused the supply of wheat to decrease, shift to the left, which makes sense, right? If there's not enough rainfall, then you won't have a big harvest of wheat, so the price increased. And the question is, why would the price remain high in the next year? Different weather conditions allowed a bumper harvest, so that means a big harvest of wheat, more wheat than average. So if there was more wheat, supply would increase, price would decrease. So that's not going to be the answer. Suppliers unaffected by the drought failed to increase their output. Yeah. So there wasn't an increase in supply. That means prices stayed high. C, the government introduced a subsidy. Subsidy is basically the government gives a firm some more budget, pretty much, and they can either decrease prices or increase supply, which will also decrease prices. But since prices stayed high, that's obviously not the case here. The market returned to its original equilibrium, so supply would have increased. That didn't happen. Prices stayed high above the equilibrium price, so the answer must be B. 10. Newly built houses tend to be inelastic in supply, because what does inelastic supply mean? It means just basically means the quantity of supply cannot change quickly relative to the price. So if the price of something increases, of course firms want to increase the quantity supplied so that they can make a profit, right? But for some reason, not all goods can be the supply of all goods, not all goods, sorry, let me start again. The quantity supplied of all goods not all goods can be increased quickly. Like something that takes long to build, like a house, right? You can't just quickly produce more overnight like that. It takes time. So a government aimed to make the supply more elastic by relaxing building regulations. Why is the government not likely to achieve this aim immediately? Well, there we go. Like we said, houses take a long time to build. Okay, so even though the government relaxes laws, it still takes time just by nature to build a house. So they're not going to immediately increase the supply of houses. Okay, 11. A person planning for old age saves in the form of money rather than goods. Which function does money perform when this is done? Store of value. Okay, so this person is keeping their money for the future, and what they're psychologically what they're viewing money as there in this case is that money is keeping its value for the future, so it's a store of value. Okay, 12. What is not normally a function of the central bank? Acting as a lender of last resort. Yes, so when commercial banks that you and I or businesses use, when they run out of money, then they normally try to loan from each other, but sometimes a lot of the banks don't have cash available, so then they will borrow from the central bank. That is the lender of last resort. The reason for that is how banks make money is they don't actually have money in the bank, right? We give our money, we deposit our money in the bank to keep it safe, right? And then what the bank will give us an interest on that, maybe let's say 1%, and then they actually take our money and loan it out to whoever needs a loan, right, at a high interest rate, say 3%. So those people who loan their money pay them back 3%, they pay us our 1%, and then the banks made 2% profit. So that's why there's actually not always large amounts of money in the banking system, because they're borrowing and lending it out all the time to make a profit. Issuing notes and coins, yes, of course, that's what the central bank does. Operating the government monetary policy, yes, that is the role of the central bank. Setting the government budget, ding ding ding, this is fiscal policy, not monetary policy. So this is not a function of the central bank. 13. What is a trade union most likely to protect? The profit of a firm? No, trade unions actually try to increase the salary of their members, who are also the workers. So they're actually trying to decrease the profit of a firm. The rights of a group of workers, yes. Trade unions want to make sure their workers, the workers who are the members of their group, right? The trade union wants to make sure that those workers have their human rights, they have enough work-life balance, have a good work environment. So it's not only about salary, it's also about benefits and your rights and clean water, lunch, things like that. Okay. Satisfaction of consumers? No, they're not worried about consumers. Trade unions. The social welfare of everybody? No, trade unions are worried about the social welfare of their members. Okay, 14. Person sets up a street food stall. What is necessary for the food stall to survive in the long run? Okay, the only thing that's necessary to survive is profitability. You got to make profit. Growth? No, you don't have to grow to survive in the long run. You only have to be profitable. Okay, so some of us might have thought, oh, the answer is D, we must grow. Not necessarily. Some firms want to stay small so that they can stay flexible and specialized. Okay. Also, small companies can get subsidies or grants from the government a bit easier. So the answer is B, not all companies want to grow, but if you want to survive, you have to make a profit. 15. A large privately owned firm is the sole supplier of electricity in a country. Okay, so this is a monopoly. Which combination of characteristics is likely to exist for this firm? High barriers to entry, yes. Okay, so there's a reason that there's only one firm in this market. It's because there must be high barriers to entry. So barriers to entry are things that are stopping firms from being able to start producing or selling this product. Maybe it's expensive to purchase all the capital. Maybe there's difficult rules from the government, a lot of paperwork you need to do, excessive amounts. Or maybe the company that's already in the market is just so well known that no one will buy from us anyway. So there must be some barrier to entry. Long run profits must be high, yep, or else we probably this one firm wouldn't be working so hard to keep all the market share. And if you're the only firm in the market, you are the price maker, you make the price, which is also sometimes why there can be barriers to entry, because they can just lower price when new firms try to enter the market and just price them out. So the answer is A, 15A. Okay, halfway guys, let's keep going, let's push hard. Doing well. 16, when a firm produces 200 units, so 200 goods, the total variable cost of these 200 units is $600. The total fixed cost, even if we produced 0 units, would be $2,000. So that means our total cost is variable cost plus fixed cost, so $2,600 to produce these 200 units. And the question wants to know what is the average cost of this output. So basically, what is the average cost of 200 units? What is the average cost of one? So 2,600 divided by 200 is going to be, there you go, $13 per unit. That is the average cost of one unit. Okay. 17. The government of country Z or Z announces a forecast budget deficit. So that means we've got tax revenue, right? And we've got our government spending. So our deficit might be because we spend less or because we get less revenue. So either way, we're usually doing this because we want economic growth. And this is part of its fiscal policy. Okay, so we must be trying to boost up the economy if we're in a deficit. So this is a form of expansionary fiscal policy. What is the effect of this forecasted budget likely to be? Decrease in economic growth? No, we're trying to increase. Decrease in inflation? We're not sure, because if our measures are to boost demand, right, like if we lower income tax, then we will demand will increase, and then we will have economic growth, but we will also have price increase, so we'll have inflation. Okay, so it might be is not wholly true. C, an increase in employment? Yeah, we should have an increase in employment. D, an increase in unemployment? No. So either way here, we either are getting economic growth from an increase in supply, where we need to use more resources, so unemployment will decrease, or we'll be boosting demand, so firms will want to increase their quantity supplied anyway, so they'll probably need more resources, and one of the resources is labor. So either way, we should be increasing employment. 18. Low income groups do not pay income tax but are able to use state provided healthcare services. What does this illustrate? Monetary policy? Nope. Tax is fiscal policy. Privatization? Nope. We're talking about state provided or government provided healthcare. Privatization means individuals own firms, and then those firms are producing a product. So this is state provided, so it's not privatization. C, redistribution of income. Yes. So these low income groups, people who don't earn much money, they don't have to pay tax, right? And they can also get free healthcare. So what we're doing here is we're taking money from people who have a lot, and we're using that money to be able to provide people who don't have much income healthcare. So we're trying to make the living standards in our economy a bit more equal. So what we're doing is we're pretty much taking from the rich and giving to the poor, and in that way we are redistributing income. It cannot be regressive taxation, because we know that the poorer incomes or the lower income groups, they don't pay income tax, so it can't be regressive. Remember, regressive is we tax poorer people a higher percentage of the income than richer people. 19. The government uses monetary policy and reduces interest rates. Okay, so we reduce interest rates, it means people are going to save less, borrow more, spend more, right? So demand will increase and we should have some inflation. What might be a consequence of this? decrease in the rate of inflation? Nope, because what we're doing here, this is expansionary monetary policy, where we lower the interest rate so that people borrow more or spend more, and then that's gonna increase the quantity demanded. It's also going to come with an increase in price, which is inflation, right? But this increase in quantity is economic growth. Okay. B, an increase in the level of investment. Yes. So firms are basically, because the interest rate is lower, firms are going to borrow money and they're going to buy capital with that money so that they can produce more. And when we buy capital, firms buying capital, we call that investment. Increase in the level of savings. C, no, people are going to, interest rate is lower, so people are not going to save more. An increase in unemployment. No, because we're going to have an increase in demand, so there should be an increase in employment. Okay, last 10 questions, guys. Keep pushing hard. You're doing well. I'm proud of you. 20. What is a likely objective of supply side policy? Okay, supply side policy, basically we want to improve either the quality or quantity of our factors of production so that we can either move from inside the PPC onto the PPC, or so that we can boost the whole PPC. And this is, we want to improve our productive potential, like the maximum potential amount of products we can produce. And so I hope you guys, what I want you to note is that when we can increase our PPC, or we can move from a point inside onto the PPC, then effectively what we're doing there is we are increasing supply because we are producing more. Okay, so that's why this is supply side policy, because we're trying to improve our factors of production so that we can increase supply, and that is real economic growth. Okay, 21. An increase in which economic indicator best describes economic growth? So economic growth we know is GDP, gross domestic product, or this P for product stands for production. Another word for production is total output. Okay, so production function in economics, we got our inputs, our land, labor, capital, and enterprise, and we use those to produce products which are called output. Okay, general price level, no, that's inflation, that's CPI. Level of consumption, no, that's a factor of GDP. Level of output, total production, yes, there we go. Living standards is HDI, Human Development Index, which is also economic development. So CPI is inflation, HDI is economic development, GDP is economic growth. Okay, 22. What is full employment considered to be? Full employment is no cyclical unemployment. So cyclical unemployment means when GDP increases, then unemployment will decrease. And then when we go through a recession, GDP decreases, then unemployment will also increase. But the government aims to be proficient in trying to control those booms and busts. So increase in GDPs and recessions, we want to try to manage those better. So if we manage those really well, then we shouldn't have any unemployment which comes from periods of GDP going up and down. Okay, frictional unemployment is people looking for jobs. That's actually a good thing. Like someone from university that just graduated, takes them maybe a month or two to find a job. So that's not really a big deal. No private sector unemployment. Well, we look at the whole economy, private and public sector. And D, no seasonal unemployment. We can't control the weather. So well, what we can do is have policies to control GDP, our GDP swings. So full employment, no cyclical GDP. No cyclical unemployment, sorry. 23. Which group is most likely to benefit during a period of rapid inflation? It's people with debts. Okay, so how I'm going to explain this to you is, let's say, sorry, I live in Thailand, so I'm putting bahts there. I'm going to make it some more simple. Let's say $10 is worth 3 cartons of milk. So with your $10, you can buy 3 cartons of milk. Okay. But then there's inflation. So for your $10, after inflation, you can only buy 2 cartons of milk. So what the picture I'm trying to show you is here is that even though for the same $10, when price goes up, you can actually buy less goods, and so the value of your money decreases, right? Initially, before inflation, the value of $10 was 3 cartons of milk, but after inflation, the value of $10 is only 2 cartons of milk. So you've lost value even though you've still got $10. So exporters, the thing is, when we have inflation, our prices go up, so that becomes expensive for everyone, even other countries, at least in the short term. So exporters will not benefit. Pensioners, no, pensioners get paid a fixed income once they retire from the government. So you can see they actually lose value over time, because they are going to get the same amount of payment every month, and if there's inflation, then that money is losing actual value. People with debts, yes. Okay, so let's say I borrowed $10 from you, but when I borrowed it from you, it was worth 3 cartons of milk, and then there was inflation, and now it's time for me to pay you that $10 back, but now it's only worth $2, 2 cartons of milk. So that $10 has actually lost value, right? So I've actually gained, because I borrowed when it was 3 cartons of milk, and now I'm paying it back to you when it's only worth 2 cartons of milk. So I'm actually benefiting from this period of inflation, even though I owe you the money, because the value of that money has decreased. And the opposite is true for savings. Okay, so if you're saving your $10, in the beginning, when you started your savings, it was worth 3 cartons of milk. Now it's only worth 2 cartons of milk. So you actually haven't benefited at all from saving. Okay. What are the components of the Human Development Index? Health, education, and income. That's how I remember it. H for health, D for education, I for income per person. So health is life expectancy at birth, so it must be either A or B. Expected years of schooling is education, yeah. And then I is gross national income per person, okay. So it's important to know it's per person, B. And Human Development Index, it measures economic development or living standards. Okay, 25. Just a few questions to go, guys. Keep it up. You're doing really well. Which situation must produce an aging population? A falling birth rate, so less people are being born, and a falling death rate, so older people are basically living longer, so then we're going to have an aging population. Okay, less people getting born and people taking longer to die means we will have an aging population. 26. The table shows the unemployment rate in 3 developed economies. We've got United States 7.6 unemployment, Sweden 8.2% unemployment, France 10.9% unemployment. So unemployment rate is calculated as those who don't have a job but are looking for a job divided by the labor force. So what is the main cause of high rates of unemployment in developed economies in periods of recession? Decrease in total demand, yes. So the same as our previous answer, when demand increases, then firms are going to want to supply a higher quantity of goods, so they will need more resources to do so, and one of those resources is labor. So then, okay, this is just the opposite here. When demand decreases, then unemployment will increase. Okay. B, movement of labor between countries. No, because our unemployment won't actually decrease. Our labor force will get smaller. C, reduced levels of technological change. No, because technology still might be actually increasing, even though it's at a slower rate. That's a common trick there. D, regional inequalities of wealth. No, don't think so. So decrease in total demand. Okay, 27. What is most likely to result from an extension in specialization? So we're getting more specialized in manufacturing. For the consumer, some prices will be reduced. Yes, that's true. Because when you specialize, your workers become better and more efficient at producing something, so they can do so faster and with less wastage of resources. So actually, our costs to produce the same amount of goods decrease, and when our costs decrease, it means we can decrease the price, or we get so good at making it that we can even make more. We can increase our output for the same inputs, so our supply increases, so prices decrease. So for the consumers, some prices will be reduced. Yes. Okay. Let's see. B. There will be less dependency on international trade. Actually, when we specialize, because our costs and therefore our costs reduce, so our supply increases and our prices decrease, we actually, other countries might start buying our products, so we'll export more, so we'll actually become more dependent on international trade. For the employee, work will become more varied. No, when you specialize, you focus on one thing, so the work will be less varied. D. For the producer, there will be less efficiency. No, what I've just described is more efficiency, when you can produce more products with less inputs. So more outputs for less inputs. That is what specialization does. That's the point of specialization. You become more efficient at producing a good. Okay, 28. A country imposes a tariff. Okie dokie. So let's have a look. Supply, demand. This is the equilibrium price. When we put a tariff on something, we basically increase the price, and that is going to decrease the quantity demanded. Okay, because we don't want people to buy this product. We want people to buy our domestically produced product that's similar to this. That's why we put a tariff on an imported product. Okay, so the price of the product increases, so it must be C or D. So it must be that one or that one. The quantity of the product imported is fixed. No, that's a quota. This is a tariff. You can see that the quantity demanded could decrease. So no, the quantity of the product is not fixed. So the answer is C. 29. Last two questions, guys. Let's go. The world demand for oil is price inelastic, and oil is paid for in US dollars. If the price of oil falls rapidly, how might it affect the US dollar? Okay, so a bit of a tricky question. We've got the demand for oil is price inelastic. Okay, so that means we'll always be buying the same amount. What happened here? The price of oil decreased. Okay, so we're still going to buy the same amount of oil, right? But the price is a lot less. So now all the other countries need less US dollars to buy the same amount of oil. So that means there's going to be less demand for US dollars. Okay, and then when there's less demand for something, we know the value decreases. So then the exchange rate is going to decrease. C. Last question, 30. Which benefit do multinational companies bring to their home country? Flow of profits. Okay, so a multinational company, they open a office or a factory in another country because the costs there are lower than in our country. So then we can make more profit, and then we send that profit back to our country. So the benefit is flow of profits into our country. Okay. And there you go, guys. Well done. So that was paper 1 for IGCSE Economics, October, November 2023. I hope it helped you. If it did, give it a like. If there's something another paper you'd like me to do, or some more information or explanation that you'd want to see in the videos, let me know in the comments below. As usual, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.